Guess what? It's Tuesday. I know I gained weight, but tonight is Fat Tuesday, damn it. So happy Fat Tuesday. Happy Mardi Gras. Welcome to the Tuesday Night Hang. Here we are. Again, it's 9:13. I'm always late to my own hang. How the hell, man, I got to get a better watch or something. Anyway, welcome. Thanks for coming on. Tonight we have our friend, wonderful trombone player, composer and arranger and great guy from Steel City. He'll be on here in a few minutes. We hung out with him a couple minutes ago trying to get the tech going here. And so the great Reggie Watkins is going to join us. So he'll be out in a couple minutes. He's getting his costume on. He's going to come out with a nice costume. We like costumes. You know, I hate to tell my northern and western friends and even my Texas friends, God bless them all with the cold and ice. But I know my friends in Chicago and LaGrange, Stephen Wright. What are you on, like 10 feet of snow? How you doing over there, buddy?
I'll let you know when I find the bottom.
You're still looking, aren't you?
Oh my gosh, it's taller than the car.
Oh man, it was cold here today, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cold.
Well,
it was under 70 degrees.
You know what? I figured out what I'm going to do. One of the improvements for the stream is going to be like a local on the 8s graphic, you know, so we get the
weather
the
on the 9s.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Well, you know, it's when you become old and you're Floridian, all you have to do is talk about the weather. I mean,
exactly. I can tell you how much my back hurts from shoveling snow.
My favorite, though, is, and my shout out to my boy Philip in Texas. My favorite is my Texas friends sending me videos and seeing videos on online of these Texas guys driving sideways on the ice, man. It's,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I saw one of the marinas. They had a boat that was completely ice covered. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Well, stay warm, everybody. Remember, it's Fat Tuesday. In fact, let's make a little game. Every time someone says fat, you should have something to eat or drink. It's, you know, it's New Orleans. It's Mardi Gras. It's the last day of Mardi Gras. It's Fat Tuesday. Tomorrow is like Ash Wednesday. No, it's not Lent.
Yeah.
What is it? It's Ash Wednesday. It's got to be Ash Wednesday, right? So yeah. So let's be bad tonight.
Let's go. Where's our beignets?
Oh man, I'll tell you what. Yeah, you know what? Man, I wish we did this before. Should I do it? You know, we did this thing with my we did a recording last year with T.Ë.T.I, and we did a whole bunch of New Orleans music.
Mm-hmm.
But I dropped the ball. We didn't load any of it in the software. In honor of Fat Tuesday, Little Bourbon Street. Trying to think of every theme I can end it with. You know, what else you got? I played that one already. I don't know. Whatever cheesy theme I could play on the end.
Play it backwards.
Yeah. Play it with the sideways. A little Bourbon Street Parade with a fat guy on Fat Tuesday in an orange shirt. Anyway. God, I can't make it up. So yeah, we did a recording last year, and there's some New Orleans music on there. And one of them is Bourbon Street Parade. So anyway, enough about that. I'd like to thank also the people that came by last week. We did a hang on Wednesday from All Access Studios. We appreciate the support of the people that came by and checked out my man from New Jersey, the octopus Ronald Swansky, who came into town. He came and played. Wonderful. We did Organic Groove. So that was fun. We had Louis Alisea and LaRue Nicholson on guitar and drums. So that was a fun week. I know my hats are, if I wore a hat, I'd take it off for you, Steven. I know that there was a lot of tech issues that day with the servers and everything, but we got through it, and we appreciate everybody coming on.
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, it was fun to see. Hey, Gremlins. I'm okay with Gremlins. We'll figure them out. But it was cool to see you and Ron playing together again.
Yeah, well, it's like my next buddy is coming on together again. It's always good to have. It's always good to it's always good to have everybody get together and play again. So yeah, it was really fun. So I think that's about it. Other than we're having coming up here next week. We should have we'll probably release our guest a couple days early for next week, so we'll have a little head start on that. And really, man, we're just doing our social media things that we normally do. And what else? Well, I feel like I'm leaving something out.
No, I think we just wanted to hit a little bit. I know we've been 3 weeks into this new thing that we're doing with the social media stuff. So I really appreciate everybody responding to that stuff. It's been, believe it or not, it's quite a bit of work. I mean, we're releasing something new every single day. So yeah, I know. Carl curses me every morning. So what do I got to do now?
only Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays.
Right.
The rest of the week, I'm good.
Right, because I'm editing on the other days.
Exactly. So I'm cursing you 4 days a week, and the 3 days a week that you're editing, you're cursing me the whole day.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah, because even when you're not there, you're in my ears.
I know. I hate myself. I wouldn't want to be around myself, let alone my friends don't want to be around me. So.
No, but it's been good. I appreciate you guys in the chat, and for those that will watch later, for supporting everything. And actually, the one thing that's been really great is everybody that's went out and hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. That, believe it or not, that helps out more than you guys realize, because when you search stuff on YouTube is the one that decides what you should see. So the more people that are subscribing to content and things like that, the more viable they think the content is. So by you guys subscribing, it helps other people be able to find the videos that we do and see stuff like today where the camera fell off the tripod and
things happen.
Hey, it is what it is.
One thing we are is real.
Hey, you guys wanted behind the scenes? This is it.
I'll give you something behind the scenes.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Well, cool. Well, yeah, we appreciate the support as always, and smash the like button if there's a like button. If there's a suck button, don't go near it, because we realize it's Fat Tuesday and this guy with an orange shirt that can hit the suck button.
Yeah, but, and last thing I'll mention, Carl, is wanted to thank. We already got a really generous donation tonight from James. Thank you for that, James. Much appreciated. He says, great concert last week. Ron's a beast. Thanks for doing that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's very nice of you guys. And that's, James, that's going right to me. I'm going to go right to the bar and drink it all. So, that's the way I roll, man. I am selfish. I take every penny of it. I don't give it to anybody. I'm horrible. So, yeah. No, we appreciate it. That money goes to our servers. Not our bartenders and servers, our virtual servers, Restream and all those nice things that, keep us going and keep the wheels turning. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
That being said, let's get the wheels turning, man. Cause I say this, man, I'm consistently saying the same comment every week, but it's not fictitious. I always feel this way. I have a blast doing this. I look forward to this because I get to have my friends on, and it excites me. So I'm excited to have our friend Reggie on. If you guys are not familiar with Reggie, you should be. I'm going to talk about him for a few minutes here. Reggie is a wonderful trombonist, originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's a trombone player, wonderful pianist, arranger, composer. Um, you know, he's got a full handle on all those attributes in the music end of things. On top of, he's been a leader for 3 of his recordings. Um, Really great recordings. You should check him out. I'm sure you can go on iTunes and CD Baby and Spotify and check Reggie Watkins out as a leader. He has 3 solo records that are wonderful. From I met Reggie in '99. I want to say around '99. He was how I came about Reggie Watkins. Oh, cool! I'm seeing there's Reggie Watkins uh, record cover. That's when they had CDs and records. Imagine that. Um, but yeah, no, check his stuff out. But I met Reggie. He joined Maynard Ferguson, the wonderful jazz trumpet player, in 1999. He was with Maynard from '99 to 2006, I believe. Reggie can correct me if I'm wrong on these things. He's coming on here in a second. He was not only the trombone player, but he morphed into a wonderful arranger and music director for the band. And Maynard loved having him on the band. We all loved having Reggie on the band. After he left Maynard's band, he had a stint. He went out with the wonderful Jason pop singer and guitarist, wonderful Jason Mraz, was in Jason's band from 2008 to 2013. So that's his pop and jazz thing on top of being his own leader. He's just done a lot, man. And he's got a wonderful trio now with a great friend of ours and former wonderful drummer from Maynard's band, the great Dave Throckmorton. Reggie and him have been playing together for years. So Dave's in it. And this bass player, I don't think I know him, but we'll talk about him a little later. He's playing with a wonderful bass player, kid, Ava Linz. I hopefully pronounced that right. If I didn't, well, I'll be straightened out here in a second. On top of, doing that project, man, I believe, I hope I'm not talking out of school, but I believe the Grammy nominated big band, Orrin Evans, Reggie is a member of that band called the Captain Black Big Band. It's a wonderful big band out of Pittsburgh. He's also a Pittsburgh. Actually, no, it's not out of Pittsburgh. I think it's a national band. Everybody's from different places. But he also is in a Pittsburgh Jazz Orchestra, as well as the founding member of Keystone Jazz Collective. And I don't know if you guys heard this band. I know I have. I know it's very popular. It's Postmodern Jukebox. He's been involved with that ensemble and that wonderful program with Postmodern Jukebox. So he's a busy guy with arranging, playing piano, playing great trombone. She's a busy guy. Like I said, I've known Reggie since the late '90s from Maynard's band, and I've actually heard and seen. I've heard and seen his whole thing, his sound develop and his on and off his horn. I've seen him just, blossom, man. It's been wonderful. He was great when he got on the band. And he's, always great, but I always like, seeing guys blossom, hopefully we'll all blossom together, but on and off his horn, man, he's really developed his own thing. It's definitely Reggie Watkins. His writing, his big sound on the trombone, his keen musical senses, all are just, we hear it, it's Reggie. So I love that. He's his own voice, which is I think that's what we're trying to go for. So, and throughout the years, Reggie and I have always made it a point to kind of hook up and hang out and play a little bit. We always try to get bands together and kind of feature our things together collectively. We haven't done that in a while, but throughout the years we've done that. And if we can't do that, we've always hooked up for a meal while he's on tour, I'm on tour. And we always end up at jam sessions or something like this. So it's great to have him, it's great to have a friend that, we have a playing relationship with and a hang. And I think from today, man, I think, I think today's going to restart some of that past glimmer. I think we're going to hook up in the future now that the pandemic's slowing down, hopefully, God willing. And we get to have some more great times, and we're looking forward to it. And please help me welcome together again my man Reggie Watkins. What's up, Reg? You there?
What's happening, guys? How you doing, Carl? Hey, man.
Together again.
Here we are together again.
We got to talk about that.
What's that about?
Together again. Remember there was I think.
Well, that was our promotional tour in New York. Isn't that right? New York, Pennsylvania.
We had like 3 or 4 gigs lined up, right? Maybe, yeah.
You
Upstate New
remember
York.
our buddy Russell?
Russell, from Mexico, New York. And he's on Russell's Patrick.
Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick. Russell Patrick, I think.
Yeah, he branded us together again, and we were together again.
On a poster, yeah. And we did like a 3 or 4 city tour, and it was you and I together again. So I'd stuck, and I have that poster somewhere.
Oh yeah, got it
in an office.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man.
Those were fun times.
That was a fun time on a long list of fun times.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for being on here, man.
Man, love it. You guys, this is like some real stuff, man. Like Howard Stern doesn't have anything on you guys, man. It's incredible.
Except for about $10 million.
Mics, you got Steven, you got the technology. It's incredible. But thank you, man. Thank you for the intro.
Pleasure, man.
You were. I always remember the first time I met you because when I got on Maynard's band, I was nervous for the first year of that.
Yeah. Completely. I don't think we were together either. We
weren't together, but I knew.
No, I wasn't on the band.
Being on the bus, I knew who you were, and eventually the bus makes it to a gig that you came out to outside of New York City.
Okay.
And we played a show. You were there. I can't remember if your mom and dad were there. They might have been there that first time as well. But you made it a point to encourage me, and I'll never forget that. You was like, I hear what you're trying to do. And I was like, what? No.
I hear what you're going. I'm trying to go for.
Yeah. No, but you were like, man, you sound good. I hear what you're, just keep doing what you're doing. You sound good. And that meant a lot to me because I knew you were on the band with Tom Garling, who was basically, I was trying to roll in the shadow of Tom Garling. And so that was nice support, because that's what you got to give cats. You got to give them confidence,
Well, I mean, just like my intro for you, it's heartfelt and I don't lie about things that I'm passionate about. So yeah, hearing you, I remember hearing you had a wonderful sound and your harmonic concept was great. You play with fire, and man, it was amazing because I think most of the musicians, and you being a music director on Maynard's band too. I mean, we could bullshit. Excuse my language. We could BS for ages just about this, but it's amazing. A guy that was on Maynard's band take it 6 months or a year. He'd start as one type of player and as a totally different type of player, man.
Yeah, for sure. It transformed me because I was just trying to survive at first. I think when I met you, I was still like, they could have fired me and it wouldn't have been a surprise. I was just trying to get my bearings. But to have somebody say, and it happened early on, like the Cats I started with Adolfo Acosto, Mike Bogart, Dubanowitz.
Yes.
Your boy, Mike MacArthur from Tampa.
I spoke to him today.
Yeah. So, and of course, Throck and PT, who got me out.
The Pittsburgh connection, man.
But just to have somebody say, "Okay, we know you're trying." That's it's just kept going, and it turned out to be a long thing.
Yeah. No, you definitely were a catalyst in that band for a long time, which is it's a hard thing to do, just being the only trombone player. I got to ask you, I have a million questions, but I'm going off script because this is what we do.
Yeah.
The first couple weeks getting off that bandstand with Maynard, being a trombone player, brass player, did your chops just scream every night like, oh, I want to kill myself, or what?
I think that the chop fatigue wasn't as much of a consideration for me as just was the difficulty of the music.
Really?
Yeah, because I was doing some work in some Latin band. I was playing a lot before I came out.
Okay.
And of course, Ed Sargent sent me the music, I think 9 days before my fly out. So I had the music and the recordings, which was great to have. And I shedded them, but it was difficult. Of course, at that time, I didn't have a gig of that level of difficulty and, and that much solo space.
A lot of stuff to play. Yeah. A lot of, you're playing things with the tenor player, you're playing things with the trumpets.
As to walk out, play with Maynard, like, show up the first day and you really should have some of it memorized because Maynard says, oh, I want you to come out. I remember my first rehearsal. I'll just tell you.
Yeah, man.
And Maynard, and Maynard has a way of making cats feel comfortable, right?
That's his thing.
Makes people feel good. You know, you're all right. You're okay with me. And we were playing Misra, which was like, you know, the Ron Swansky,
the Indian
epic composition for the ages,
Yeah,
you know,
man.
and
All
and
you, baby. It's all you.
so I go out to do it. I go out to do the first time ever. Go out to do the thing with him, and him and I are trading over that thing, and my knees are shaking, and we stop the band, and Maynard goes, Ed, how come you didn't tell me this guy was Indian?
Oh my God!
You know, what an icebreaker. You know. So I thought, okay, great. It's, you know, if I get fired, it's fine. You know, everybody's cool. Maynard's great. You know, it was a great experience. And you really, if you ever talk to a cat that has been fired after the first week, they still love Maynard.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
it's just it's such a, like you said, it's either chop things or technical things that it's a hard band to play on physically and muscle memory as far as you know. But and so people who are not familiar with Maynard was a devotee. He studied in India once a year, and was a devotee of Sri Satya Sai Baba. And he would write throughout each decade. He'd have songs written. Ron Swansky wrote an Indian raga piece, like a modal piece that was very Indian sounding, and Reggie was doing that, man. So that was, you know, that was an inside Maynard joke saying, "Oh, you must be Indian," you know, just kind of like if you're an Italian guy playing Italian tunes or whatever, you know, kind of fun. That's me.
You know, like that chart, for instance, that Ron Swansky, Mr. Denuka, that chart might have been 5 or 6 pages, but when we got to the point we played it live, it was 45 minutes long.
It's long too.
You know, there's a great video when I was on the band of Maynard doing that tune, and it was about 45 minutes long in Berghausen at the Jazz Festival.
Yeah, great.
And it shows the length of it because that's kind of how it developed on the road. You know, the recordings maybe 11 minutes or I don't know what it is, but it's a lot shorter. You know, but that's I love those vehicles for Maynard because the effect it had on people. You know what I mean? Like after the show, I remember meeting people. A woman I think of in particular that was, you know, crying, and she said that the song had, you know, the experience of that song and then I had changed her life. You know, and it's like, wow.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a spiritual thing. And you're right. It's amazing how the music always evolved. Especially the Indian ragas. I mean, you look back to the late 70s, early 80s, Ganesha with Steve Luce. You know, so I guess that was early 80s, I guess.
Yeah.
Ganesha, and then prior to that, I can't remember the one.
Well, I re-recorded on my second album, Shalanada, which was like one of my favorite.
There you go. Which is the 70s one,
MF2, yeah.
So that's what, 77, something like that.
Shalanada was early 70s.
Early 70s, yeah.
MF2 was like, I think it was 71 or 72. I could be wrong, but I think it was early 70s.
So it's that one, Steve's, and then what was the other one? When I came on the band, we were still playing it too. There was another Indian tune, Sweet Baba Sweet.
Oh yeah, I never got to play that one, but it was in the book. I remember that.
Yeah. And there was one before that too. I can't remember that name. It was the beginning of Big Band Nouveau. But you're right. They started out like 6-7 minutes to 11, and then you get on a live gig and Maynard.
Because on that tune, Maynard would not only play the Tibetan singing bell, then he would actually sing, and then go to soprano saxophone, and then go to Firebird, eventually make it to the trumpet. You know, it was like
before even the whole band was playing. It was just a
exactly.
Yeah. It was cool. And, you know, he loves theater, too. I mean, we can just go on for this forever.
Yeah.
I remember when Tom was on the band, and I'm sure you did this, too. Maynard was very astute on it's got to sound great sonically, but it's also got to look good. And Ed was great with the lights and, you know, putting I'm sure you for a couple gigs or maybe even more, I'm sure you did it, you know, maybe you go out to the audience, or if there was a balcony, you play on a balcony and he'd go on a balcony and do the question and answer type of thing. And it was always a great vibe, man. You know, I learned a lot from that.
I mean, even if he didn't go out into the audience or go to some other location, just in his space or around his monitor and his mic, he would turn that into a performance space.
There it is.
You know, even at age 76, 77, 78, he owned that space so much, and it was very just, sometimes you didn't really realize why it was so entertaining to just see him kind of, you know, turn around in that little space there.
Yeah, and if it was a tiny club, it was really little, And if it was a performing arts center, man, it was a big space. So it was amazing how he
Yeah.
made that space his every time.
Yeah. And I got to say, I don't know if it's true. I just saw randomly on Facebook a lot of memories at Blues Alley with Maynard.
Oof, I seen it today.
So I think
too.
they went down, but hopefully they'll be
Ralph
back.
Camille, remember Ralphie and
Oh man, yeah,
Chris Ross. We love Chris.
yeah, Chris, yeah, man.
If Chris, you're on here, if you hear this, or anybody from Blues Alley, Danny, the bartender, remember Danny?
Dude, remember all of them, yeah.
All those
and family, man. We went every year, a couple times a year, sometimes.
Wonderful club. Yeah, we've seen that they're closing down that location in Georgetown.
Yeah,
which is one of our. Reggie, would I be correct by saying that was one of our favorite stops on that tour? Was that in the Blue Note?
Yeah, I think Maynard as well. Yeah, yeah.
You go get Indian food, go shopping, go on M Street, go down, I remember when I first joined the band, he was in relatively good health. He liked to walk, man. We'd walk back and forth.
Walk down, yeah.
And he'd come on, let's go for a walk. And we walk. And I'd be dragging his horns through the alley. And yeah, so unfortunately that club is closed, man. But
yeah, man.
It was closing. They're going to try to keep it going. So I read something that Chris is going to try to keep it going virtually, but
they did so much anyway. I mean, it's like if you see what Blues Alley has done over the time, it's been unprecedented.
Yeah.
The amount of people and who's been in there. So
just with Dizzy and Winton and
Caravan, etc.
Exactly. I mean, you can't go. So we jumped ahead, but I just want to back up and say two homework things. I see the chat going. Keep on the chat. Get some questions from Mr. Reggie, and Stephen will come on and ask some. But I want to, we talk about Maynard. We're going to talk about Maynard down the road. I always like to know things that I think I know my friends on here. I always learn more hanging out. So what got you into playing, Reggie? What was the impetus when you were young to play trombone? How'd that come about?
Yeah, I mean, my mother gave us a steady influence in music growing up.
There it is.
And it was little things. Of course, church, I was one of these people that grew up in church. I got a lot of music there. And the symphony, stuff like that. Piano lessons at a young age.
Okay. So piano was your first?
Piano was my first instrument.
There it is. Okay. All right.
I was actually a trumpet player in 7th grade.
Really?
They didn't like my chops.
Really?
So I went, of course, to tuba.
Bigger mouthpiece.
Bigger mouthpiece, and then I was effective on tuba. It was something that, as a child, you don't realize. You're in junior high school.
Yeah.
And they're keeping you off the street. You're in band, so
Yeah.
you have something to do. So I did pretty good. I tried to quit band, but they made me stay in so I could play tuba in high school.
All right.
But then I had a moment where I saw, as a sophomore, the high school, the senior jazz ensemble. Okay. They brought everybody in to take a listen.
Yeah.
And man, it was the kind, like, I had this musical background, but it was that moment of being exposed to jazz and say, oh, wait a second now.
Yeah. Really?
Yes. Wait a second now. What's going on here? So that I feel like I'm still kind of in that same moment in a way. You know what I mean?
So would you say at that high school level, at that high school age, that was what kind of made you pick the profession? Like, I want to play jazz and I want to...
Well, I wanted to play. I was already playing, so I said, I want to play jazz. So I'm a valve player at that time still. I still hadn't touched a slide.
Okay.
So I made my way in the jazz band on valve trombone.
There it is.
And then transitioned to slide trombone, and then went off from there.
Okay. There it is. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. But my dream, I always feel, Carl, like everything I've done, like with you, with everybody, it's just been part of my dream, because I remember my dream being, I want to be a professional musician. It wasn't like I want to do the Grammys or I want to play the Garden or, some people, it really was just like, I want to be a part of this lifestyle. I want to be a professional musician. So like in a way, every gig I play is fulfilling my dream. It's a low bar, but you set
Oh,
low,
stop.
and if you get a little bit above that, maybe get some respect.
I'm like the limbo pole. I go under the bar. That's where I live. That's very cool though, man. So I didn't realize I knew you played piano, but I didn't know that was first. And the
Yeah.
progression of things is very interesting. That makes a lot of sense. Now, when I remember you, even at jam sessions, you jump on piano and come, and help out. Like if there was a piano player that needed help, like, all right, let's check out this voicing. And you
But
voice.
I never considered myself a piano player completely, But somehow I started playing a lot of piano during the whole COVID thing, man.
Okay.
And I just found the confidence to do it more. So this last year, I've been playing a lot of piano, which
So
has
you've
been
been
great.
practicing. You've been shedding a lot.
Practicing, writing, being able, and I also like to play. I like to play trombone without a chordal instrument, so it's perfect. I've got Dave Throckmorton,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Ava Lintz.
Ava. Okay. So
Ava,
okay.
yeah, it's a woman. She's a great bass player. Her, and then I get to play keys and trombone. And it's perfect for the pandemic. I mean, we started playing on a patio, and had a bunch of different little like outdoor gigs and stuff over the summer. So that was great.
Cool.
Yeah.
And let's go back to you. Did you grow up on the suburbs, or did you grow up in Virginia?
I grew up in Wheeling, West Virginia.
Okay, I'm sorry. Once I said that, I'm like, I remember Virginia, Wheeling. Okay.
Yeah, the city of Wheeling, West Virginia. Yeah.
And then how did you?
And then after that, after that, I went to West Virginia University.
Okay, there it is. All right.
And both of those cities, Morgantown and Wheeling, are within an hour drive to Pittsburgh, and that's from trying to connect to some jazz musicians, a scene, and gigs. The natural migration was to Pittsburgh.
Well, talking about natural migration, I was going to open up the question, but I'm going to hit this one more thing. So now, Wheeling, West Virginia, you went to wonderful school there, back close to Pittsburgh. I remember going through Pittsburgh many times, Manchester, Guild, playing there with Maynard, and I remember hanging out. Even actually, yeah, I remember you had a thing. Was it Roger Humphreys? He had a club, right?
Well, actually, Al Dow was
Al Dow.
Sorry, we would play at Dow's on 9th.
Dow's on 9th. Where am I getting Humphreys from?
Yeah, well, Roger Humphreys, of course, the great. He's here. He played with Horace Silver, and has been a force and a mentor and a musician on the scene here for forever, man.
Okay.
So Roger is kind of like, in a way, currently the most important jazz figure in Pittsburgh. But Al Dow's on 9th, which we played there.
Yeah.
Again, sometimes 2 times a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember, Humphreys hanging out with you, coming down to Al Dow's on 9th. And I remember another great Pittsburgh cat. It's a nice scene there. Sean Jones, before he moved to New York. I remember hanging with Sean there.
Yeah.
At Dow's again, playing a session with Sean was wonderful. And let's also bring a little attention to. Did you go to school with Dave Throckmorton, great drummer, or how did you hook up with Rock and PT Paul Thompson?
Dave, I knew Dave and Paul Thompson from the scene in Pittsburgh.
Okay. From that whole nice.
So we were banging around the scene in Pittsburgh and calling each other for little gigs and doing things and being aware of each other and being friends and eventually I think it panned out where at that time Paul Thompson was musical director.
Yep. I was when I left. Yeah, I was.
I guess Ed asked them if they had anybody. And so they felt that they recommended me. So I'm glad they did,
That's right. Now it's coming back to me because I remember PT, Paul Thompson, and Throck were on the band. It was a wonderful rhythm section. Arano Swansea was on the band. I left. Adolfo and Mike Delbanowitz just joined. We did a tour. Actually, I think I did 2 tours. I left and PT got the gig, and then he got you on the gig, and which was wonderful because Throck and PT were roommates and still great friends, and you still play with them, and they're I think the trio of you cats in Pittsburgh, it's the real deal, man. Having those you 3 there, man, it's just like, it's I'm sure there's a lot of great musicians in that town as
Yeah,
well,
the
but
fabric is pretty thick, with
you three are definitely three peas in a pod, so to speak. What was the other trombone player? He passed away. He used to hang out with
Randy
us.
Purcell.
Oh, God bless Randy Purcell, another great Maynard trombone
Yeah,
player.
so Randy, of course, is from the '70s era
Yeah,
in the Maynard band.
oh Randy,
I
man.
knew Randy before I got the Maynard gig, but it was nice to have that connection after I got it. That we both now knew Maynard on a personal level.
Permani brothers hang with you, me, and PT and Throck, and
Yeah.
Randy hanging hard. Oh man, yeah. Well, I'm sure there's some questions, and I think, well, maybe everybody left. Maybe it's just you and I. But if Steven's there, maybe he. Are you awake, buddy? What's going on? He's done. He's gone.
I'm just
He's
playing.
with
I'm just messing with you. I was gonna leave you hanging like last week.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm used to being left to hang. It was
Nah.
only 15 minutes. Not that I'm bitter about it.
No. We've moved on. Yeah, we got a bunch of people checking in here in the chat. A lot of people just saying hello. Got a Mike Beichman. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry if I butcher your name in advance. Noah, what's up, everybody? Excited for another hang, and our special guest, Marina Menta, is hanging out. Let's see. We got Ryan Maldano. Good evening, guys. Mike Moshman. Hang Monster Frank Benici says hello.
What's up?
Let's see. We got.
Hey Frank. It's still on my desk.
Oh wait.
I never mailed it.
Oh,
you
wrong
sent me your
camera.
address. This is to go into Frank. This goes to Frank, but I was supposed to be like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Sorry, Frank. It's coming your way, bro.
Yeah, your CF horn is authentic. Yeah, we got a bunch of people. Got a couple questions that have started to come in. A lot about just a couple people mentioning "Girl from Ipanema," great chart. Bob Cook says, I saw both Carl and Reggie open for Maynard at different concerts. What was that experience like for you guys being able to open for somebody like that?
Reg, you want to hit it first and I'll clean up? Or
Sure, yeah. I mean, it was, it sounds, it was an honor because Maynard had enough faith and he supported us so much and to allow us to open his show. What Carl and I would do, we open the show as a quintet a lot of the time. Isn't that how that shook out? And it wasn't just us. He did it for other, the guys that were in his band who had albums. Before us, there was a series with Concord Records called Maynard Ferguson Presents Series. And I know Tom Garling had an album, maybe the last album in that official series. But Maynard kind of would continue the Maynard Ferguson Presents concept. So we made our own records, and he was gracious and supportive enough to let us start the show. When the curtains would come up, we would get to start with a small group set of our own material, and essentially advertising our tunes and our records, our CDs at that time. And it made a big difference at the merch table after the show, which was another thing I have to give ultimate credit to Maynard Ferguson, because he would let us sell our CDs at the table, and that spot before the show made all the difference. And so that was a huge gift to us from him.
Yeah, it was unprecedented. I was around when Maynard was, when he first signed with Concord Records. He was always talking about doing a presenting series, and so it came about when I think we did the second record, which was not Brass Attitude, Big Bop Nouveau. No, not Big Bop.
One More Trip.
Thank you. One More Trip. So when that record came out, Tom was writing a lot, and so was Christian. His stepson, not stepson, his son-in-law, wonderful jazz pianist who was on Maynard's band, is married to lovely Wilder Ferguson. Wonderful jazz pianist, and Maynard loved having Christian on. Christian came on off the band for years, and Maynard did this series like Reggie was saying, Maynard Ferguson Presents. So Christian had 2 records, Tom had a record, I was actually going to be one of the records. And we finished Brass Attitudes, which was the third record on that contract. And then nothing really, that was a good selling record, but nothing really happened after that. So I left. I came on and off the band on and off for 12 years. I remember coming back on the band. I had a record in a can, it wasn't mixed. And again, Maynard and Ed were very much responsible for that. Listen, there's no more Present series, but we're gonna still do that model. We'd love to have you open. And so I came out and did it, and then I left. Reggie came and he was doing it, and so it was just this wonderful thing, and it was great because he trusted us to play for his audience. And I'll tell you, like Reggie said, going to the merch table is one-to-one direct relationships I have with, we gained so many friends from just music and Maynard. I wish those times were still around, man. Talk about.
There's nothing else like it. I mean, we had so much of it, being on the road with him, all these different scenes. It was like,
it was pretty special, man. We're very lucky that we got. I feel very lucky I was a part of that.
Well, and I got to give a shout out to Ed.
Yes.
For helping us be in that position.
Ed Sargent. Yes, sir.
Because at a certain point, Ed, he encouraged me. He was like, man, it's time. I was thinking about making a record, and he said it was time. He said it's time for you to make a record. So I made my first record in 2001. I hadn't been on the band that long, but between 99 and 2001, it was 10 months of touring per year.
Yeah.
So in 2 years, we were on the road for 20 months.
Yes, sir.
So it seemed like a lot, because it was a lot. It was a short amount of time, but it was a lot of work and a lot of learning.
Chops are strong, and like you said, the last thing you do is when you get off a Maynard tour is really want to pick the horn up and play or arrange.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're on a gig for 9-10 months. All you do is want to recoup and see your family and
right.
Eat, So for you to come out with a record in 2001 and Ed prodding you, our road manager, was wonderful because he believed in us, and I'm glad he did that, man. Because he was around for us, which is cool. That being said, so we talked about how you got on the band. You wrote for your record. You came out with this record. I'm going to throw a question in there. How did you approach writing for Maynard Ferguson, arrangement-wise and compositionally? When did that happen? How, in your tenure in the band, how did that come about, Reg?
Well, when I got in the band, there was all these great charts there, but a little while went by, and it seemed like there weren't enough submissions.
Okay. So
I studied arranging, although I'd never really considered myself like a serious arranger, because here I'm reading like, the Tom stuff, Chip McNeil.
Yeah, man.
Ron, Dennis DeBlasio, this stuff was brilliant, and I never thought. So I'm here reading these charts day after day, and eventually I thought, well, I'm going to try to write a chart, And I had done the tune, The Girl from Ipanema Treatment, prior to being on Maynard's band in that way with that ostinato. Yeah. Actually, and Throckett and I had done that kind of just on the scene in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
And but yeah, so I was like, I said, let me give it a shot. So I just tried to expand it. I wrote it out in pencil. Most of those charts at that time were still in pencil.
Yeah.
Or pen if you were any good. That's right.
Gotta have one.
I mean, yeah. So I tried to do it, and it worked well, man. It was like, it wasn't overly complicated. It had a few different sections, and Maynard sounded good on it, and he liked to play it, and he didn't have a lot of reading and stuff to do. There was, some prerequisite type stuff that I think I was learning from seeing the other charts, how to place Maynard, how to feature the band.
There you go.
How to
Very
write.
Important. Very important.
The fact that a Soli has to be there, it doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world. I talked to Dennis DeBlasio about his Night in Tunisia chart.
Mm-hmm.
Which he'll say, oh my God, it's barely a chart. It's kind of just a little head with the shout chorus and some harmonies. But Maynard loved that chart, man.
He did.
I mean, he never stopped playing that chart.
Simplicity sometimes is king.
So I had it in my mind when I did Ipanema, and and then Boss played it, and he played it for a long time.
He loved that chart. He loved
Yeah.
your chart on that. Yeah, no, there's definitely ingredients. I never wrote for Maynard. I wish I did. I had a couple things in my head, but it seems like everybody who was successful writing for Maynard knew what those ingredients were. Chip,
Yeah.
Steve Weiss, yourself, Ron, and they could be really through composed, beautiful things like Tom would do, or something stripped down. Christian did the Erica and Sandra thing. It was just a beautiful melody, had some great harmonies, but everything had the recipe,
Yeah. There was a way to do it. There were some things you had to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't, I wasn't submitting a lot after that. That tune was almost like a hit in a way. But
It was a hit. Yeah.
And then I didn't submit. And then Maynard starts asking me to do things.
Okay.
Projects. I get a call from him. He's in Ojai, and he says,
Reg,
here's what I need. Yeah. So we're going to Thailand. And we're gonna
sorry.
And we're gonna hook you up with Eddie Chatterchinda so that you can write original arrangements of the original compositions of the King of Thailand. So it's like, here I am in my apartment in Pittsburgh, like, wow, I'm getting an assignment from Maynard. So I did it. Yep. But I think even more pressure when he asked me to write charts for the Diane Shore record.
Yeah, that was not. Yeah, Besame Mucho record. You wrote Besame, didn't you?
I wrote an arrangement on Besame Mucho and Autumn Leaves.
That's right.
And and he gave me 3, and I passed on to Paul Armstrong just one of those things, which he wrote an amazing.
Yeah, it was a good chart.
So yeah, that's what started it eventually. And then another time he called me and said, "Hey, it's Louis Armstrong's 100th birthday. Can you do something for Louis Armstrong's 100th birthday?" Okay. And so I did. Do you know what it means to miss New Orleans?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
For that band.
Beautiful too. It was funny too because, like I said, I was on and off the band quite a bit around those times too, and I remember coming on and doing a Diana Shore thing.
Yeah.
Kept on, even before you. I remember playing Diana's charts or trying to play some of Maynard's charts with Diana singing the head. It's crazy, man. What sticks in my head was Besame. Oh, Maynard loved playing Besame. The arrangement on that was brilliant. And the New Orleans thing, you know what it means to miss New Orleans on Fat Tuesday. But yeah, it's amazing though how those, this is what would you say this is early 2000s, even
2000, yeah, 2000.
They stand, guys that went through that band played those charts not once. You played them a lot, and if you played those charts a lot, there was a reason because they worked and Maynard liked them and people loved them. So my hat's off to you, bro. You came out with a lot. You came out swinging, bro. Not for not being an arranger. You learned.
I thought I knew how to arrange. I had an arranging class and everything, and wrote some arrangements. But then to hear how good some of the writing by Tom and the other cats was just very intimidating, But then
hanging with Ron. No, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying. I mean, but then as of course, it's intimidating. Somehow, I found a middle ground that I could bring myself to submit. And some of the shit actually worked,
No, it worked great. It's funny too because I was rooming a lot. I roomed a lot with Tom at that time, and I was hanging and playing a lot with Ron. And one of the things they were intimidated about. It's funny you're saying this. We'd go out to Vigioni's and check out Maria Snyder's big band. And the way Maria was just an extension of Gil Evans, wonderful Gil Evans, not extension, but she had a lot of his beautiful voicings and concepts, and those guys would be shaking in their boots. I would be too.
Yeah.
Like, man, I want to be able to compose with that type of lush, voicing, and so. And then same thing, Chip McNeil was my roommate. I remember Chip with the pencil and Tom with the pencil, and you too, just sitting there on a day off. If we had a day off, scoring things out of their heads, and then having the band as your piano, so to speak. And
well, I was very lucky before the Diane Shore record. We had a whole month in Europe, and we were working most of that. We probably had 26, 27 dates inside of a month.
Yes.
But
the Kleinschmidt tour.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna work as much as you can. We're gonna kill you.
So we're working. But the upside of that was, I'm penciling these scores and these parts, and at a certain point in sound check, I could have it read through.
Yeah.
So by the time we got to L.A., my stuff had already been read through in Europe.
Yeah, you were
and
good.
then we added, the Paul Armstrong chart, the Dennis stuff, the Chip McNeil and Tom, and that was a record.
Yeah, that was a great record. Yeah, man, that's wonderful insight from the arranging and composing side of things. It's great to know that, man. Cool. So we're on this Maynard kick pretty hard. Let's see what the Peanut Gallery has to say. What we got going on over there in the Peanut Gallery on Fat Tuesday?
I don't know whether to be offended or be no.
Now, the Peanut Gallery is a positive
Yes,
thing.
it is. It is a positive thing in our world. So
In my world, yeah. I don't know about someone else's world, but I love the Peanut Gallery.
Exactly. Let's see. We had Frank Abramson is joining us. Says he remembers when you joined the band back in January '99. Reggie, lots of fun touring with you and Carl as well. So thank you, Frank, for.
Oh man, love Frank, man.
Frankie 8.
What a solid trumpet player, dude, and he took care of Boss, which is the main thing,
Mm-hmm.
Frankie A. I bet you still, if we seen Frankie A. Great solid trumpet player, and I remember, I started out just like Frank started out, just like a lot of trumpet players started out. Kevin Means, your gig was to be a valet personal assistant to Maynard and play trumpet, the third book. And I remember looking at Frank and now an ounce of fat on Frank's body. I'm like, hey, Frank, I need you to get, part of the gig is you got to go get like a case of wine at the liquor store. This guy, he goes, oh yeah. I said, you have to wait for the bus shuttle to pick. He goes, no. He starts running. The guy goes on a full sprint to the liquor store, like 3 miles away. Didn't even break a sweat. Comes back with it on his back, with like a case of liquor on his back, with a little sweat. He goes, here you go. I'm like, that would took me like 4 hours. Like, that guy's in unbelievable shape. Solid cat, man. Do anything for Maynard. Maynard loved him too.
Bro. Oh yeah, man.
That's great.
Frankie A's in the house.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Jim.
Frank, you want to go surfing? Frank at the beach surfing. I got to get Frank on here. We got to talk about surfing.
Sounds like that would be a fun one.
Yeah.
Jim checking in from Tacoma. Reggie, I saw you guys at the Blue Note in 2005. You and I chatted about the Berks Jazz Festival in Pennsylvania, and I interviewed you for my college course at the time. I know I'm just another face in the crowd, but if it helps, I'm the blind guy with the cane. You guys were fantastic.
Yep. Dude, thank you for chirping in, man. It's good to hear from you. Yeah, I never did make it to the Berks Festival, but it's definitely still on my list.
Yeah, it's a good fest. And Jim's a great piano player and is supportive of us, and we support him. He's a good cat, man. It's funny that the pop thing, and maybe you found this with Jason Mraz, they cross-pollinate. It's crazy sometimes. You run into guys that seen you with Maynard and you're out with Jason now, like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Jim was one of them.
Yeah, that's actually one of the interesting things about, like I'm sitting here watching the chat room and listening to you guys. It's seeing that Billy crowd and Maynard crowd kind of mix and match, and then you got the trumpet crowd coming in that, just knows you from being a trumpet player regardless of who you're with. And then trombone players are coming in all over the place. It's an interesting vibe. Speaking of the chat room, though, speaking of the chat room, we got the president of the regular crowd here. Noah has a question for you guys. It's kind of a question that we get a lot on the stream, and I know Carl's answered it a few times, but maybe Reggie, you'd want to give your feedback on it. He's asking if there's a lesson that you learned from Maynard that you look back on, fondly, and it made a really significant impact on you as a musician overall. I mean, I know it's hard to pick one with Maynard, but.
And Fritos with bean dip at 11 at night.
Well, there's a lot. It's hard to think about them, but you know, there's one story I tell. I told my student this the other day, where and this is kind of a technical story. This isn't like a life lesson. And we were just probably 30 minutes from a show early on in my career in the band, and I'm standing in the shared dressing room trying to execute my upper range, and just over and over missing and folding and too much tension and not enough of the right stuff. And I'm standing there trying to get this double high B flat, and Maynard walks through and tells me something. He says, "Hey, I don't know if this will make any sense, Carl, or if you've seen this before," but he'd say, "Hey, do this." He'd say, he put his hand on my stomach. He said, "Pretend it's the dinner plate." Mm-hmm. He said, and pretend there's a string that going through the dinner plate through out your back. So the string is pulling the plate flush, and that was the kind of point he was trying to make about engaging my abdomen. He said, "Now play the note." And I played it just like that.
Diaphragm, abdomen.
And Maynard goes, "I'll bill you." And he walks away,
I call him a human air compressor. He knew how to manipulate air through yoga, and even prior to that, he was.
And I thought it was brilliant that he heard me struggling. He saw me there, and he knew exactly what to tell me about, just this analogy, engage the abs, whatever it was, and wow, it worked, man.
Bang. That's
bam.
Beautiful. Yep. And Maynard wasn't like a direct teacher, so for him to sort you out and say that, it was a beautiful thing, man. When he would say, these little, just wonderful diamonds of information.
Oh my God.
Huh? Yeah. Carl, sound like yourself. Stop playing. Stop. Play your shit. Carl, play your stuff. Go. Do your stuff. I'm like, okay. Took me a minute to figure it out.
Here's another memorable one. He said, we're all sitting in the airport somewhere in like Lithuania or, Vladivostok, Russia, or some weird port. And he says, and everybody's kind of tired and worn out. And he looked over at me. He said, "Reggie, we could be pulling sheetrock off the back of a truck right now." That's all he said to me. He said, "This isn't too bad. This isn't too bad.
You could be pulling sheetrock off a truck. Absolutely.
Off of a truck right now." That's right.
That's great.
And it's Maynard Ferguson, the child prodigy, that had that perspective.
There it is. Humble guy.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. There's a couple stories for you guys. I know there were a couple people asking for Maynard stories. Carlo says, "Hey Reggie, it looks like you Carlo and Jim Manley had dinner together in St. Louis with Maynard before a Thanksgiving gig. He just wanted to chime in and say hello, Carlo Isabelli."
Oh, beautiful, man. Good to hear from you, Carlo.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, Maynard. I remember that. And every time you had dinner with Maynard, it was a 3-hour ordeal, right, Carl?
If you were lucky.
If you were lucky.
A quick dinner, yeah. And
if it was like a reservation dinner, it would draw out because he would do every course you could have, like everything from the aperitif to the drinks, then the coffee to the liqueur, like every.
It was a hang.
He would have it, but we have fun.
I bet. Yeah, Carlo, that's great. I didn't know you guys to hang with Jim, and wonderful. My favorite is the Stan Mark story. We were going through. I wasn't living in Tampa, but the band, my parents were, and we were going through Tampa playing. And there's a famous steakhouse called Burns Steakhouse, famous steakhouse throughout the country. And Maynard, and back in the 70s, Maynard and Stan got juiced. And and Flo came. Flo, Maynard's wife, was there, and they stole a lamp from Burns, and it was stayed in. I'm incriminating. It was in Maynard's house for years, so it was always the Burns Steakhouse lamp. And so we're going through, and a friend of ours, Dan McMillian, trumpet player here in Tampa, is like, "Oh, we'll go to Burns." So we go to Burns, and like Reggie saying, it's every course, and Burns does it right. You're sitting there going through the whole thing, and it's like, let's steal a lamp. We got to steal something out of this place. What can we get? We didn't get much, but we had a good hang, and Dan had the whole band out. It was great. But yeah, the dinner with Maynard was always, oh man, it was epic. It was always a fun hang.
That's great. Um, I got one that came in over a text message. I know it changes away from Maynard a little bit, but I got two. One just came in from a guy you guys both know, Mr. Matt Parker. Gentlemen, great to see everyone. Um, Carl, what can you share about the lore of Gary?
The lore of Gary.
I don't know. That's basically the whole message. So I'm gonna need a little more context on that one, Matt. Sorry, buddy.
Sorry, Matt. Maybe it was nice. You know what he's talking about, Red?
What the hell are you talking about, Matt?
Matt, I might not have been on my best behavior that night. You might have to. I got gray hair now. I don't remember much.
Yep.
Give me something, bro.
Yeah, and there are students in the chat. But another one that came in over a text message. It flips away from the Maynard side a little bit, but says, Reggie, I saw you when you were out with Jason Mraz in it was in an outdoor amphitheater. I was really excited about seeing you with Jason, but what to my surprise was even more exciting is you guys came out and played in the parking lot before the show. Like, was that something that you guys did all the time, or was that a special thing where you guys just played randomly like that?
We did that. That was at a Chicago area show, I believe.
Yeah, I was at that show, actually.
You were at that show.
Yeah.
And you were in the parking lot too, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there.
So that was I mean, it happened from time to time, but no, it wasn't a regular thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember exactly what they're talking about there. But yeah, there was a lot of sit-ins and stuff, but that time in particular, somehow we ended up in the parking lot, just kind of like warming up for the show. Yeah.
Sometimes you look for something to do. My favorite thing is when we're playing stadiums is grabbing a golf cart and going to find out who's got the best steak. And where I smell meat. And you go through out the parking lot looking for meat, man. And what do you got? Sometimes you have to play for your meat.
That's great.
Reg, while we're talking about this, let me ask you a question here. You brought up Jason, and wonderful. You moved out from Pennsylvania, from Philly. You went out to Texas. That's under ice right now. And you joined Jason with the Groove Line horns. So you were out there for quite a while. How did you hook up with that? And what was the impetus to move to Texas and then move back from out there back to obviously? There's the Cats right there.
Yeah.
How'd that come about? That was after Maynard, obviously, right? That was post Maynard.
That was kind of post Maynard, but all of the relationships were getting established during that time when I was with Maynard traveling. So when I would go into Texas, we would get the chance to hang with Fernando Castillo and Carlos Sosa from the Groove Line Horns and other cats. You remember Travis Hayden? You remember Travis? Yeah. Boy Travis, right? He was there. Paul Armstrong and his thing is so Paul was kind of plugging cats into Texas, and it may have been Paul or maybe Travis that originally introduced me to the Groove Line horns, but we go back to Austin all the time.
Yeah.
And like you said, on the road, you play the gig, you do what you have to do, but then you go to a session or you hook up with the cats that you're supposed to hook up with. So that was the thing. If it weren't for that frequent touring and hitting Austin all the time, I wouldn't have met those cats. So I met Carlos and Fernie. They've got the Groove Line horns and the Jason Mraz gig, and that began a 6-year period, of not only working with Jason but doing different stuff through the horn section, a bunch of different stuff. You know how it goes.
Yeah, you guys were busy.
One of the first things I did was we went in and did a record for Warren Haynes, got a Grammy nomination.
Oh wow.
And Austin City Limits, Gary Clark Jr., just like a bunch of different stuff, Austin stuff and national stuff. But the work with Jason was great. He's unbelievably talented, and those guys are really dialed into their thing. Very cool.
Yeah, it was always great. If I was coming through with, I think I came through with Diana Ross. We had a horn section with Ozzy Melendez
Yeah.
and Scarpula, and the horn sections. Horn sections. We'd always hang out and get in trouble, but it was amazing because you guys had a nice kinship. The way you guys phrased and played together, it was.
Well, for me, I came in, it's kind of taken over for Rollo, yeah, which has since rejoined when I kind of left the scene, but they had their phrasing, so I had to jump into their phrasing. So that was a process, and just learning their phrasing. But I had to cue into it because it was already a thing, and it was super tight. And Carlos and Fernie had a ton of history, so I tried to bring my thing, but not so much as just match with what they were doing,
blend into the scene.
Yeah,
I got you. Which is that's why you're working, because you can do that.
Because those guys were out with bands and stuff when they were in college together and just playing horn section stuff. They're true horn section players,
Yeah, great players. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And so when you move back to Pittsburgh, and man, that must have been culture shock as far as the weather goes. But that's where your heart's at. I know that.
You would think that, but I'm serious. Yesterday, I got photos from Fernie in Houston of snow on the ground.
Oh, Fern.
Colder than it is in Pittsburgh at this moment.
Wow. Yeah.
So, but that's a once, that's usually at this time it should be about 70 degrees in Austin.
Yeah.
So yeah, bit of a weather shock and a culture shock, but again, you talk about the Pittsburgh scene. I was in love with the Pittsburgh scene.
Yeah.
Ever since I became aware of it, and some of the guys like Paul and Dave, I've played with them and I've heard them play for it's been a long time now, so.
Yeah. Awesome.
So came back, and started the Steel Town Horns with Rick Matt.
How's Rick doing?
Rick's doing good, man. Yeah,
great player. He was.
Everybody's laying low now, but we're all getting to play a little bit.
Good. Yeah.
So,
who's playing trumpet with you guys?
J.D. Chasen is our trumpet player. He's a younger cat, meaning younger than us.
Okay.
But
everybody's younger than us nowadays.
Yeah, we ended up doing a few things in particular, like we have our own band. We have, we went with Dumpster Funk for several years.
Oh, cool.
And did a bunch of their stuff and got to do things because of that, So, that's been a cool ride too.
Yeah, I totally forgot about the Steel Town Horns, man. The Dumpster Funk thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, that's cool. You keep them busy. That's the main thing, and you have to be viable in a lot of different musics, which you never had your snobbery up. Your music. Oh, I get a kick out of guys that say I only play jazz. Well, that's great if you can do that, but my bank account will not let me do that all the time. I have to kind of play some different things, and I don't have a problem with that because good music's good music is the way I look at it.
I feel we've been fortunate to have a variety of things, because I've done some things in different corners of the music industry that you wouldn't believe. I mean, Jason Mraz and Orrin Evans couldn't be any further apart from their musical sensibilities, but I'm like, to be able to be on these scenes and try to contribute on some level. I mean, it's unbelievable. Maynard Ferguson and Postmodern Jukebox. It's so different, but it's the same stuff,
Just packaged and played
But
different.
it's just I take that stuff as something that you add to your perspective. I have my own ideas as a jazz musician and as an artist and my personal sensibility, but just supporting another scene and contributing to, and then taking the influence, to me, that's been rewarding.
Yeah, man. Well, you do a good job of that. Talk to me about the PMJ, the Postmodern Jukebox. How'd that come about? And I know it seems like it's a great concept.
Yeah, I mean, Postmodern Jukebox, they were working like crazy. Scott Bradley's Postmodern Jukebox, they basically take, new pop tunes and they retrofit them into like older styles, 20s, 40s, 50s, whatever. And I was recommended in from Matt Parker.
Oh, cool.
And got the call from the musical director and went out and did just a bunch of tours and videos and stuff with them, and just the way it was, like the Maynard thing was like I just met so many musicians that I didn't know were out there.
Oh, cool.
So it was, aside from being a cool gig, it was a lot of cool people.
Nice.
Music was a lot of fun, and the network thing was crazy because postmodern jukebox, you think of it more like a show,
Yeah.
where, as a matter of fact, they could have a cast in Europe and a cast in the U.S. at the same time, doing a different set list, but that's the same concept.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm just, I've always done this kind of to travel and meet people.
Yeah, man.
My
Fun.
first real venture out of town was cruise ships.
There it is.
And it was just like learning tunes and playing gigs and meeting people. But postmodern jukebox, hugely successful, people
Yeah.
of all ages in the audience,
It's wonderful.
and talent all across the stage. And although it might be a different band every time and different singers, it's just amazing. You
High
know.
level. I noticed everything that they do is high level, musically, audio, visual. And that takes a lot to pull that off. You know, they definitely very impressive. That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What else we got from our friends?
Um, kind of along the same lines of what you were just talking about. And how you were doing this just to meet people and play. And I can actually attest to this person's comment, but the what they constantly, basically, to paraphrase what they're saying, is that what they constantly hear is all of these different people that came up through the Maynard band, how it's kind of created this large web of musicians throughout the entire music industry. You got Carl, who obviously went with Billy Joel, yourself going out with Jason Mraz and Postmodern, and then like I met you guys through the Maynard band, and then you went with Jason Mraz. I actually went out with T.Ë.T., who was with Raining Jane, who ended up playing with Jason Mraz. And it's just this weird intertwined web. Do you guys think that is unique to those people that grew up in the Maynard organization because of kind of how he taught?
Can I hit this one, Reg?
Go ahead, babe.
The way I feel is no, not at all. Maynard
Yep.
was a catalyst. That's great and everything, but music's music, man. It's a democratic thing. It puts people together. What do people look for in a pandemic? Music. It's a fabric that threads everything together. And so, you know, yeah, I mean, we're kind of in a picture box, so to speak, because yes, we had the Maynard correlation. But I think you look at Wynton Marsalis's band, you look at Chick Corea's band throughout the years. There's always 6 degrees of separation in music because it's again it's a communication. Music's communication, and music always goes around food and a hang. So, as long as the people you're working with are cool, it's going to be a social type of thing. I mean, ours was a little more social because Maynard was more social and fun. Um, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, what do you think, Reg?
Well, I think musicians in general, at least in my universe, are very personable and open.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And so that gives us the ability to connect with a lot of people along the way.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've crossed paths with people that I've spent short amounts of time, but if you spend all day with somebody on a gig and an 8-hour rehearsal, and then you do a 4-hour show, and in between you had lunch and dinner with them, you know, let alone being on the road for months at a time, so we kind of just walk around that way, just open, and I don't think it's particular to Maynard Ferguson scene or any other scene.
Mm-hmm.
no. I mean, you look at I can use examples too. I mean, I look at Billy's thing. Billy having, for instance, the late great, God rest his soul, we all lost Chick Corea. Having Billy have Chick Corea come guest with us, then have Isaac Perlman on violin one night, and then having Miley Cyrus one night. Or if I'm looking at you know uh, uh, your comments with Katie Todd and Jason Mraz, where you guys had different side people that knew each other and coming in through. So it's I think it's you look at Wynton Marsalis from Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra with Eric Clapton coming and guesting, Willie Nelson, and then you have guys like John Baptiste come in with it's just it doesn't matter. It's genreless. It's music. It's come on, let's play, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's good feedback. Thank you, Amanda, for that one. This one is a non-musical question.
Well, we're good at non-music.
Yeah. James is asking, as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I used to love talking to Reggie when he was on the band. What do you think is the state of the Steelers for the next year and the future?
Sorry, buddy.
Wow. Honestly, I haven't given it a lot of thought recently, but I got to tell you, Carl, my sister, Joan, Dr. Joan, she lives in Tampa as well. Congratulations. I think it's brilliant. And, I might get some flack for this as a Steelers fan, but, Tom coming down there and bringing Gronk with them, congratulations to you guys, man.
Thank you, man.
Much deserved. I mean, it was kind of your turn. Is that your all's first Super Bowl?
It's our second one, and the last one was 18 years ago. It's only the second one for the franchise.
I think for the Steelers next year, everybody wants to count out Ben. He's still on the roster, as far as I know.
Yeah,
we're going to bring him back. Coach Tomlin is going to get us back into the playoffs like he's done most every other time. So,
I think Tomlin is the Maynard of the organization. There, I love Tomlin. I remember. It was playoffs, and we were coming through Pittsburgh. You were on the band. You, me, PT, and Throck. We went to a local bar. Actually, no, I think we were off the band. And we went to catch a Steelers game, and the place was. That's when you guys were dominating. I mean, dominating. And yeah, I'll tell you, man. I really think Tomlin and Ben. I'd like to see him do another.
I would love, and the old guy in me, of course, was rooting for Tom Brady the other day.
Years old.
Well, and then so Ben Roethlisberger is obviously in that category.
Yeah.
But I'm a big Tomlin fan, and I'll always be a Steelers fan. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do next year, but it'll be competitive for sure.
Very cool. I got one more hello and one more question, then I'll turn it back over to you, Carl, for your next one. Mike Freeland is joining us in the chat. Says, "What's up, guys?"
Mike.
So,
what's up, Mikey?
Mike.
Thanks for joining us in here, Mike.
Let's talk about Mike for a second. Mike was Maynard's sound engineer.
He was
production manager and sound engineer. Probably around. Was he there for all your tenure with Maynard?
No, not all of it, but. And when he came in, I think Mike was on from when he came in till the point when I left. So we spent a good amount of time together.
Mike was with me the last couple tours I did. Long tours, I think. So yeah, in the late 90s, I want to say 98, 97, maybe. And then he stayed out with you when you joined, I think, right?
I joined in 99. I think Mike was probably a couple years later, maybe 3 years later.
Oh, he was later.
Yeah.
Okay, so I came in. That's when I came in the mid 2000s. I was with Mike. Okay, wow.
When I came on the band, it was Stuart Eloff.
Stewie.
Oh wow.
I love Stewie. What's up, Stu? Stu posted something the other day talking about getting caught in the and Sal Giorgiani and Matt Wallace. No, Matt didn't jump on it, but Sal jumped on. No, Phil Palumbi jumped on about Stu. We went through customs in Europe. They stopped Stu, man, and they ransacked Stu hardcore, man. He had long hair. He looked like the rocker, But yeah, Mike Freeland, we love Mike. He actually is working with Blood, Sweat, and Tears now, although no one's working right now. But yeah, Mike, we got Mike on that. I left and threw his name in a hat. His name was in a hat, and he's doing that. Harold Smick has left. Reggie's done. I had Reggie out once or twice. How many times you do that gig now?
I think it ended up being maybe four or five times. A couple of times. I don't think.
Killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you did wonderful.
But again, thank you, man. I mean, that was another dream come true for me to come in and do that with you all.
That was great, man. When you came out and just crushed it with BS&T. That's a fun book to play, isn't it?
Yeah.
The quintessential stuff, the trombone stuff, man. Again, it's a long blow too, man.
Oh yeah, that's another hard book.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, what's up, Mikey?
Yeah, I got a trombone related question for you, Reggie. Jim is asking, our 10-year-old just started playing trombone. What advice would you give to a beginner? Um, it's pretty wide open for you there.
Stop.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Run.
Yeah. Don't do it.
One word of advice: relax. Have to relax. You have to focus, but you have to relax. Young players always have all these weird mechanical things going on. Relax your body, relax your mind, and focus on what you're doing. And other than that, get them a good teacher, and have them walk them through, and let them develop.
Nice.
A tack on to that was, are there any books or anything that you would recommend for a beginner to start with right away?
Well, yeah, you could. These Burbank method books.
Great.
You could get an early Burbank method, and that goes through different stages. So it goes from beginner to intermediate to advanced, or you could just say get something like an Arbenz book, which is kind of a scary thing, but you don't have to tackle the whole thing. There's little parts of it, so it's that's the kind of book that you can grow with, even if you can only, but you have to have a teacher there to guide them through, Other than that, I mean, really the most important thing is fall in love with music if you want to be a successful musician. Become a listening addict, But it really fall in love with it. If you really love it, then that's going to make it easier. If you're not there yet, continue to, continue. If it's a 10-year-old student, expose them to music. They want to play the trombone, show them what can be done on the trombone. But get a good positive teacher, foster the love of music, and then just slowly, build their arsenal and their technique and their sound and etc. But it's like Carl, when I tell you I realized I wanted to be a musician. That's really when I started to practice really. Yeah. That's when I was self-motivated. So
yes, sir.
If your kid isn't in that area of like dedicating, then don't wear them out. Just make sure that they love the music. Let them do their lessons. Let them practice a little bit. Yeah. Listen, but make it a good experience. Don't force it. Make it a good experience. Make it organic.
There it is. Wonderful, wonderful comments on that. Yeah. That's great. Hey, did Arbenz make a trombone edition, or are you talking about Arbenz, the trumpet, the cornet?
I'm talking about the Arbenz method for trombone.
I didn't know Arbenz made a trombone method. I gotta check that out.
Wow. I've seen the trumpet one, but that was kind of you have your main technique and study book. That was mine. Okay. For years.
That was mine for 2. Yeah, I did the Burbanks, and then I went to Arbenz. Yeah. So.
And then I've been doing Remington stuff. That's another one.
Oh, cool. Okay. Great information.
Yep. Cool. You want to go with one, Carl, or I got one other one in here. It's up to you.
Yeah, actually, I just want to hit Reg with one more, a couple more. It's very simple, but yeah. Well, you touched on it. Tell me a little bit about playing with Orrin Evans' band and how what that's about and how it came about and what's going on with that. It's a great band.
Well, that's a scene that is very close to my heart, and Orrin's like family with me. Actually, he is family.
Oh, is he?
His wife is Dawn Evans is Sienna's first cousin.
Really?
So we never knew that. We never really made any connection about these different musicians. Now I'm off doing whatever I'm doing, and meanwhile Orrin is this amazing solo pianist. I mean, he's put out.
Wow.
I think just under his own releases, it's somewhere around 30 now.
Wow.
So he's got this big universe of musicians that he and everybody involved in it kind of refers to as the village, but it's a lot of cats, and it's amazing experience every time. I guess he's known probably most prominently now for his work with the Bad Plus.
Oh,
He
cool.
took over for Ethan to go into the Bad Plus. But so yeah, that's been musically. For me, it's been just an amazing experience because these guys are modern jazz players and they're all encompassing. Like his style and the guys that he plays with. It's very like. There's a lot in there from bop to avant-garde to just lots of influences and no boundaries. And if you listen to his record, now is called The Intangible Between. It's up for a Grammy.
Yes, sir. So
and
this year it's up for the Grammy.
This year's up now, so they've pushed the Grammys back. So I guess it'll be March.
Okay.
When they finally have the Grammys.
Right.
So that is not only a learning experience, but it's also a family experience. And it's just been. Again, I'm so blessed to have that ability to play with those guys, them having that mindset and their abilities. It's just unbelievable, man. Very, very happy to be involved with that.
No, that's great, man. And this last record, you guys recorded it in New York, or you do it in Pittsburgh?
We record so Oren's from Philly, but essentially he's a New York cat. Okay, and they're all in the scene, and he did it at Sears Sound.
Love that place.
And so that's where they did it, an all-day session, and everybody. He had 3-4 bass players, 3-4 drummers, different horn players, different features, people dropping in.
Awesome.
So it was this big foray, and it came out with a Grammy-nominated record, man.
Can't beat that. Now he's back in Philly, or is he living in?
He lives in Philly.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Which is nice because for you, it's kind of in between Pittsburgh and New York.
Yeah, so. And 2020 would have been. I had a bunch of Oren Evans CD release in Philly, New York, etc. It didn't happen, but we managed. We did a Christmas special again at Sears Sound.
Oh, cool!
In December, just this last December.
Nice.
And per Oren Evans style, he put on all kinds of extras, and he had George Cables come in. It was just a very special production, man.
Oh, man. Yeah. And isn't how do you like playing the Sears Sound? That's one of my favorite rooms.
Such a cool place, man.
Right? It's got a vibe. It's old too. I love it, man. It's just got a
love it. And Oren and Dawn always make it comfortable in there. They've got their catering, and the cats are there, and it's such a good hang. And the guys working there are like, what was that? It was like lightning strikes. Like there's a cable goes bad. Those guys move so fast, so big.
They have it together.
If you're in that side of the business, you learn from seeing those guys in there.
You're not waiting 5 hours for a cable.
No, they're on it. You can't. As soon as you say it, they're there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Cool. All right. So we hit that, and I'm gonna hit Stephen with one more, and then we'll start closing up shop here.
Sounds good.
Sure. What you got? What we got for my friends out there?
Actually, this is for both of you guys. Wondering if had somebody asking if you could talk about some of the birthday shows that happened. There was like the 75th birthday show. And I think
for Maynard, you're talking about Maynard.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. I was actually looking for the picture.
I missed someone's birthday.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Am I 75 already?
Yeah. Oh,
what happened?
Birthday
show. Speaking of birthdays, before I
Carl,
forget it.
I had a birthday once a year.
I fell asleep and now I'm 75.
Yes, I'm 75. I think I'm gonna have a birthday this year sometime.
I took a nap and now I've got gout.
Thank you, Gout. I like Gout. He's a friend of mine. He's a nice dog.
That's funny.
Birthdays.
Yes, I was referring to Maynard, but really quick while we're on birthdays, our buddy from the Billy Joel organization, Jay, has a birthday today.
My man Jay. What's up, Jay?
Definitely wanted to mention Jay.
Is he here? Is he hanging with us?
I think he was supposed to be on. I saw him earlier, but I don't know if he's still around. But wanted to get that mention in there either way. But yeah, the 75th birthday for Maynard is what they were talking about. And I actually have, you guys were a little bit younger in this photo, but
we were a lot younger.
Look at there.
Oh yeah.
Slide Hampton in the front, man.
Yes.
I was Reggie. You and I were skinny, bro. Look at us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Slide, Tom Garling, Reggie, Mike Dubanowitz, Rick Patrone on the end, on the right end, great bass player from Connecticut.
Frankie V. I see Frankie V in there.
Yep, Frank's. Yep.
Gordon. Can't remember Gordon's last name. Is that Stan in the back? I can't really see. Alan Wise, Mark Van Cleve in the back, trumpet player. Frankie V. Who's that? Is that Brian Mulholland on the end? On the left end?
I think so. I think so. Yep.
Bass player.
Yeah.
He was around then. Okay. Cool. Great job. That was a fun night. That was in Riles Jazz Club.
Oh man, I'm shaking in my boots with Slide Hampton, man.
Slide was hanging hard, man. Slide, 75th birthday at Riles Jazz Club. Frankie V was booking that room. Frankfurt Doris, wonderful friend of ours, trumpet player. Yeah. And it was a special moment, man. Maynard was in his prime, and Slide came out, and Lynn Biviano? Lynn came out. He lives in Boston, right? Biviano.
Yeah.
He was teaching at Berkeley. Lynn was teaching at Berkeley. Tom, yourself, Slide. I think that was the whole. It wasn't a lot of bone players there. I think it was just you three.
When we played the big band stuff, it was just three of us. It was Slide and Tom and myself in the session.
It was hysterical.
Maynard,
Yeah, and Maynard was in the audience.
Of course, there was 25 trumpet players, but there were 3 trombone players.
That's always the case, bro. Come on,
You can't play. You can't play chameleon with less.
Yeah, 3 trombone players, and it was less sax players. I think it was just Chip. Chip was there. I think, right?
Chip was there, and
Wally, of course, Matt Wally.
I remember the hang. I remember looking across the audience, see Armand Zildjian.
Oh, God rest Armand's soul. He was wonderful. Yeah,
and all the kind of Maynard scene fans out there. It was beautiful.
Russell was there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the 70th. There was another one too. I think we did. There was another one, Stephen, you were talking about? I remember the 75th like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I think was it a 65th or a 70th maybe? I know it was.
The 65th was that tour. The 60th big band tour was with Roger Ingram and Dante Luciano and Joe Barotti and those cats, Dan Miller and. But that was the 60th. I remember 70th too. Yeah, I don't remember where that was.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but the 75th they're all special.
Yeah,
it's a fun night, man. Bringing everybody together.
I got another one here from Chris. Chris is saying one of my favorite teachers was Brian McCullough, bass trombonist from the Pittsburgh Symphony, beautiful cat teacher and trombonist. Did Reggie ever get to know or meet Byron?
No, I'm sorry I did not get to know him. I do know some of the guys with the symphony now, and here in the last 10 or 15 years, including Murray Crew, Peter Sullivan. But I did not get to meet him.
All right, thanks for your question there, Chris.
I'm gonna hit you with a question. What's going on? So we touched on it quickly, but your trio gigs. So you're playing piano, trombone.
Yeah.
Drock is on bass, and Ava is on. Drock is on drums, and Ava's on bass. Excuse me. You have some things coming up in the future. You're looking forward to some gigs with.
Yeah, we do. I mean, they've been great. I got to play with them all summer long. Cool. On outdoor gigs, but it was a great opportunity, man. We were like going through original material. I was getting to practice piano and then play trombone and piano with them. We've done a bunch of live stream concerts from a place close to here called the Carnegie Stage. So we've done 8 of those. Those shows live on my YouTube channel.
Okay, so we can find them. Tell everybody your YouTube so they can go check them out.
Yeah, so just Reggie Watkins on YouTube. And again, this year, I've been posting a lot of trio stuff. The trio serves, a multi-purpose of, it's a small group, so we could kind of work during this time, but also I've gotten to suss out my compositions, and we've got to become better as a unit. So we went from just playing these different little gigs. There's still some things happening here.
Cool.
I've got a gig this Thursday at the Jazz Club here at Alma. I have a gig next Thursday. We've been doing tapings and live stream things for Manchester Craftsmen's Guild.
So they're still afloat. Manchester's still around. Obviously.
Oh, they're absolutely rocking, man.
Good.
I mean,
I love that joint.
just take a peek at them. They adjusted so quickly for the pandemic, and they're still presenting jazz. Nice. So they're keeping it happening. There's a handful of clubs here keeping it happening.
Nice.
And that trio has just been nice to focus on, because we're not running around as much as we used to be because everything's.
You're a family man too. You got a beautiful family, so you don't want to run around.
And these amazing musicians to collaborate with.
That's better than that, man. You got a family, a lovely family, and guys and girls to play with. So
that's it.
And any more questions from our friends, and we'll hit them, and then we'll wrap it up.
I think it looks like everybody else is just kind of hanging out and listening.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm just checking really quick one other thing.
Carl, when I get my vaccination, I'll be down in Florida.
You gonna come?
Look you up.
Come on, brother. Let's play.
I'm gonna bring the family, bring the kids and the wife in the car. We're gonna come down.
Let's do the Together Again family reunion.
and we'll do the concert in Carl's yard.
Yeah. I live on an alligator-infested lake. It will be fun. I'll put the chicken around my neck. So
we pay you tickets, or we pay you to come and sit with the alligators in the snow.
Alligator petting, and snake wrestling. Because there's nothing like wrestling a snake and an alligator every morning in the lake across the street. It's fun.
That's great.
Well, we appreciate the hang, Stephen. Yep. Thanks for keeping us fluid, and thanks for all the beautiful comments. And I always close with the show by giving it to my man Reggie. Reggie, I appreciate. Well, not that Reggie's on every show. Reggie's on season 4, episode 6. So this will be recorded. If you missed something, go back and check Reggie out. And it's been really a pleasure to have you on here, brother. You're a true friend, and it's great catching up with you. And I'm going to leave you with this. Stephen, thanks for taking care of us. But Reg,
man,
what's exciting you in the future, man? What was it looking like for you? What's could be anything from what you're going to eat tomorrow morning for breakfast?
Well, you know what it is. We making lemonade out of lemons up here, man. We go sled riding almost every day, if not every other day.
There you go.
So it's like all this snow is coming through and ice, and it's like, all right, guys, remote school is over. Get the sleds, time to go. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the next round of sled riding tomorrow.
Best answer.
Keeping my fingers crossed for my brother Orrin Evans and the Cats. The Grammy nomination. I am keeping my fingers crossed. Other than that, brother, happy to be playing. Happy to be alive, man.
That's a beautiful thing, man. Great to see you. Great to hang with you. That is, Stephen, that is the best answer we've gotten in all the episodes.
Sled riding.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, probably one of the most honest, too.
It's true.
I'm going sledding. I'm going streaking.
I'm going streaking. It's beautiful.
He's going streaking with a slide trombone in the sleigh, and the fat guy in the orange shirt's going to go wrestle an alligator and a snake. That's tomorrow's. That's what we're doing tomorrow. Yeah. Steven's going to be shoveling snow.
Oh, man.
Reggie will be on his sleigh.
That's great. Yeah.
All right, my brothers.
Tune in next time.
Well, next time. Thank you, Reggie.